They didn't just want you gone. They wanted you erased like you were a mistake heaven regretted. But heaven doesn't make mistakes. It makes threats, disguised as misfits. And here's the truth no one's brave enough to say. You weren't just attacked. You were targeted with precision, because something about your presence made the demonic nervous, made manipulators sweat, made liars shift in their seats. See, most people survive gossip, betrayal, and heartbreak. But you survived a custom-engineered spiritual ambush, the kind designed to look like coincidence but smelt like sulfur. And still, here you are, breathing, discerning, unbothered, well, mostly. Fact, studies show trauma changes brain patterns. But yours didn't just shift, it evolved into a decoding system. Now you don't just see red flags, you hear the sirens and spot the blueprint. And here's where it gets funny. They thought they were slick, plotting in whispers, moving like shadows, forgetting one tiny detail. God sees in the dark. So while they were crafting your fall, He was drafting your escape. And not just any escape, the kind that exposes the architects, the kind that makes them wish they never tried. So if you've ever wondered why the attacks were personal, why the betrayals felt surgical, why you were kept alive while others folded, buckle up. Because what you're about to hear is not motivational fluff. It's divine classified intel on why you were spared from a wicked, disgusting plot, and what hell never wanted you to figure out. Let's get into it. Number 1, you were never the target. You were the blueprint they couldn't replicate. They were never just watching you because they liked you. They were studying you, trying to decode you, trying to figure out what made you move the way you do, think the way you think, bounce back from hits that would have left most people shattered. You weren't just someone they envied. You were someone they couldn't replicate, no matter how hard they tried. That's what drove them crazy. The truth is, you were never the target because you were weak. You were the target because you were the original, the blueprint, the raw, unfiltered version of something sacred. And they knew that if they could just break you, study you, extract the formula, they could maybe build their own version, a safer one, a cheaper one that wouldn't shine as bright but could still deceive the masses. But the problem? You were designed by something they couldn't imitate. Your experiences were encrypted. Your strength came with spiritual fingerprints. Every breakdown you survived, every silent battle you won, it encoded you in a way that couldn't be copied. That's why they had to come for you, because they couldn't become you. You think some of those betrayals were random? No, they were data-gathering missions. People got close to you not because they truly loved you, but because they wanted to see how you worked, how you think, where you break. They took notes while smiling in your face. Meanwhile, God was watching all of it, allowing just enough to test you, but never enough to destroy you. Why? Because you weren't just being protected. You were being guarded like a prototype. They didn't just want you gone. They wanted your essence without the scars. They wanted the results without the process. But God didn't put your anointing on sale. It wasn't up for imitation. It was exclusive, and it was booby-trapped for anyone who touched it without permission. That's why you're still standing. Not because you're lucky or too strong to fall, but because what's in you was never meant to be replicated. You were the first of your kind, and hell had a meeting about it. But heaven already gave the final word, and it said, untouchable. Number 2, God didn't rescue you. He withdrew you like a loaded weapon. God didn't save you to make your life easier. He pulled you out because you were too dangerous to leave in enemy territory any longer. The moment the attacks got too specific, too timed, too calculated, it stopped being about testing and started looking like assassination. That's when God stepped in, not to coddle you, but to reposition you. See, most people think being saved means being protected in a soft, gentle way. But in your case, it wasn't a rescue. It was a strategic withdrawal. You were removed like a loaded weapon about to be misused. You were too valuable to be left in hands that didn't understand the assignment. So instead of letting them mishandle your gift, your spirit, your destiny, God yanked you out. No explanation, no apology, just a hard stop to everything. You ever wonder why certain relationships suddenly collapsed? why some jobs fell through, why the plans you thought were aligned just crumbled overnight. That was God snatching you back before the enemy turned you into a pawn. You didn't see the trap, but heaven did. The enemy was circling, not to scare you, to consume you, not just to hurt your feelings, but to disarm you spiritually. But you're not just anyone. You carry weight, influence, authority. Even in your confusion, you're powerful. Even at your lowest, you're still a threat. And that's why God didn't wait until you understood what was going on. He pulled you out mid-fall, not because you were about to die, but because your light was about to be hijacked. The people who thought they had you figured out didn't know they were playing with divine property. They got too comfortable with your presence, too bold in their disrespect, too casual around your calling. So God sent a shockwave, pulled the plug, shut the door, not to punish you, but to preserve what you carry. This wasn't just a save, it was a message. You don't get to weaponize my chosen. And now the same people who tried to use you are confused by your sudden absence. Because what they didn't know was this: God doesn't just protect his own, he reclaims them, swiftly, sharply, and with zero negotiation.